Welcome back to another edition of the Night Report podcast. I'm your co-host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again is my co-host, Richie Schneiderite. And we have a very special guest with us today, the big shot maker himself, Geo Baker. What's going on, man?
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Good, man. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to talk about, Rutgers, Minnesota. We're going to talk a little bit about Pike. We got a big event coming up next Tuesday, watch party, talk about it, the Olive Branch. We're going to talk some Night Society. But let's just kind of dive right into it. Rutgers had its biggest conference win in Big Ten history a couple nights ago against Minnesota. It's actually the biggest conference win since 1990, since Rutgers was in the A-10. Gio, what was it about, all the things that went into that big blowout? How did we just destroy Minnesota like that? They're not a great team, obviously, but what was it specifically that they did so well?
Yeah, I want to cut them a little bit of slack. They did have some injuries, so that played into it. And then obviously playing in the rack is never easy, so that's part of it too. Because before that they did have a couple of close losses. It seemed like they were starting to, do the right things, just couldn't really finish. But in that game, the defense was just awful. And I tweeted it out too. It literally looked like Rutgers was just having shooting practice. They would catch it in the middle of that 2-3 zone, and the guy in the middle was wide open. The two guys in the corner were wide open. It just seemed like anyone who caught it, they could just easily shoot it. I've never seen defense like that ever in the Big Ten before. I'm not gonna lie. So that was, I would say, a big part of the reason they scored that many points.
Yeah, it was an interesting one, and I want to kind of piggyback off the game and scoring. One of the scoring leaders was Oscar Palmquist. How cool was it to see him finally get his chance to just get out there and actually put up some serious points?
I was really happy for him, man. That's my guy, and he's one of the older guys on the team too. He's been here for a while, so a lot of people don't realize that he's one of the leaders of the team too. So in practice, he's one of the guys who knows all the drills. He knows what it takes. He's been through all the battles. But just hasn't really been on the floor as much as some of these other dudes, but still shows up and puts in the work every day, just like everybody else. So the fact that he was able to get a chance, everyone was super happy for him. And he stepped up to the moment too. It looked like he had been playing for, the whole season, the way he was playing. He played super confidently, right? Came right in and made a couple shots. And you love to see that always.
So I do want to talk about that because the culture and a locker room, even though guys might not play as many minutes as they want, those locker room guys are super important for a basketball team. If you look at Udonis Haslem, right? He's been on the Heat for probably 6 years longer than he should have been. He plays 10 minutes a year, but he's the leader of their locker room. Yeah. How important is a guy like Oscar to just keeping a locker room together and upbeat and on the right path throughout the season?
So important. It's so important because when you have a veteran guy who isn't playing, being positive, leading, that sends a message to guys like Derek, to Twan, even to some of the other vets who maybe aren't getting as much minutes as they'd like to, Jalen, Dean, right? So you have a guy like that who's look, I'm in the same position as you guys. I've been in this position before, and I'm still here doing the work every single day. I'm still here talking, communicating, leading. So this is what you need to do too, and this is how it leads to wins, and it's how it leads to you eventually getting on the floor, right? You see what he just did.
Yep.
So I think that's always super important, and just having everyone on the same page. I think the Rutgers team, especially this year, you could tell they're just all they're all best friends. They all love each other, and that shows on the court too. So even if a guy isn't playing, he's still going to show a ton of support. You see how they supported Aiden when he made that shot. We got to talk about that. That was unreal to see. And I don't know if you guys saw my tweet about the picture of Pike. Did you guys see that?
And he was stone-faced.
Defense, get back.
I was dude, Pike did not give a shit about that three, man. He did not give a shit. All Pike was thinking about is national championship. I'm telling you, he did not care. It was funny to see, though.
Yeah, now people posted black and white pictures of that. It's a fucking Renaissance painting. Yeah. Everybody's in the air. Everyone's having this crazy motion. Pike's just locked in.
Yeah, man. That's just Pike, though. He's on to the next one already.
Yeah. Jeez. So going back to that veteran presence you're talking about on this team, one guy that's emerged a ton as arguably one of, if not the best distributor in the Big Ten, it's got to be Paul. What does he just mean to this year's team, and how much have you seen him grow from when he was a freshman to now?
He's just so focused. Paul is just such a driven individual, and all he thinks about is winning basketball games. He's always been that way since his freshman year. I think when I was on the team, I would always try to bring the guys in and let them know like our vision and what we're trying to do, especially in the early years when Ron and Montez were coming in. I never really needed to do that with Paul. Like he kind of already had all of that. So, in terms of growing, I think he's just grown from experience. So obviously, playing in the Big Ten for so many years, there's just certain things that you start to pick up. You learn how to play defense a certain way. You know how to be in your help and get steals and certain things like that. But in terms of, a mindset and maturity, Paul's kind of always had that. And this year, I think we're seeing it even more because, he truly has the reins on the team. Whereas before, kind of me and Ron just had that role, and it's kind of hard to just switch that. So I think that he just kind of has the whole team on that same mindset, even better than me and Ron did. Honestly, I think he's a better leader than we were.
Hell of a comment.
Yeah, for sure. I want to talk about kind of like the culture and identity of Steve Pikiell led team. Like it's so hard to like continue to be great at something, constantly cycling in new players. And Rutgers is an elite defense year after year. What is it about Pike, the way he teaches you guys to play, and just like constantly keeping that intensity for 40 minutes on defense, especially?
Yeah, I think it's just about building habits. So I like to think of it as like, build habits, not goals. So obviously you want to have a goal of, making the NCAA tournament, maybe winning the NCAA tournament, whatever their goals are. But you don't just wake up and do that. You have to build the habits first. And I think Coach Pikes does a great job of like box out drills. We do a ton of defensive slides, a bunch of different things where we're making sure we're in our help defense, hands out, talking. And if we aren't doing it, he's immediately going to stop it and point it out. Like, listen, this is why you guys just got scored on, or this is why, you weren't talking in transition. So that's how they got a shot, different stuff like that. And I think that you just drill it so much, eventually it's just in your head. It's a habit now where you're going to do it in the game as well. So that it just always translates like that.
And then how much of that culture is just based on retaining assistant coaches? Like he's had the same exact, I guess, minus Hayne going in and out as assistant coach, but
and
for
Jay
the
Young
most part, and Jay Young, I forgot about Jay Young for that 1 year. But how much does having these assistant coaches being the same guys every single year attribute to that culture?
It means a lot, and I think Pike knows that too. That's why he kind of always tries to keep it in house. Mm-hmm. But all the coaches just know what Pike's expectations are. They've been here before. So again, that same thing of like building habits. It's like everyone's on the same page and they know exactly what we're trying to do on the offensive side of things, defensive side of things, just seeing how we're trying to go about everything. And that's super important. If you bring in a new guy, it's going to be an adjustment period. It doesn't matter how good of a coach he is. There's going to be an adjustment period of adjusting to Pike, of adjusting to the players. But like when you have the same coaches over and over again, it just kind of becomes routine, I think.
And what is it you think Pike looks for in recruiting players? Because I've heard stories about Pike. He goes to see, a top 25 kid in the high school class, and he's like, this kid can't play for me. I have no interest in this kid. And then he'll get, a lightly recruited guy like Mag, for example, and he turns him into one of the best players in the Big Ten. So what is it that Pike looks for, and why do you think he's so good at identifying talent? I
think for Pike, it's all about fit. And he'll tell you this too. The first thing he always says is he a good kid? Like that's the first thing I've heard him say it a million times. I always try to catch him slipping up, like, you want some talent. But like first thing he always says is he a good kid? Does he come from a good family? Like that's like his number one thing. And then the second one is, okay, is he smart enough to go to Rutgers? So how does he do in school? You kind of cross those off. And then is he coachable? Does he play hard? And those are kind of the main things I would say first. And then he trusts himself to be able to develop that into some real talent. And you just mentioned Mag. Like, I think that's like a perfect example. Like the nicest kid in the world, comes from a great family. He's super smart. He's never gonna get in any type of trouble in school, going out, anything like that. And then he works hard as hell. Like every night in the APC, in the practice facility, Mawat is in there getting shots up. Like that's just the reality. And that's why he's getting better. And Pike sees that, and he would rather take that than maybe a 5-star and obviously he's getting 5 stars now too, who are also great.
Yeah, we definitely got to talk about
that. but the 5-star that maybe has a huge ego and is like, oh, this like it's me. It's not about the team. And Pike just doesn't really go for that. And I think he's stayed true to that mindset, and that's why Rutgers continues to succeed.
Yeah, I mean, this guy took a 3-star tight end and put him on the hardwood. Like it's wild that he did that. He's
good too, man.
He's really good.
He's really good. He's really, really good.
We might have lost Richie there. So just speaking more on that, like you were a pioneer for NIL for a long time. You were one of the first like college athletes to kind of speak up and talk about how important that is and how unfair it is that, a kid who's a computer science major can teach and, tutor in his spare time, but you guys can't, host a basketball camp.
Yeah.
So now that NIL has been in the NCAA for a few years, how do you kind of like, do you think it's been successful so far? Do you like the direction of how NIL is going, or do you think there needs to be any kind of adjustments to anything?
I mean, nothing's ever going to be perfect, but
Sure.
I think it's a great thing. I mean, we're seeing so many fifth-year seniors coming back, due to COVID, like obviously COVID year, but dudes just staying in school longer because now they have a chance to make money while they're in college. So you're going to see a lot more kids with degrees, which should be a goal of the NCAA. Like, absolutely should be a goal of the NCAA. And I don't know if they just didn't think that through for a long time, but obviously now they're allowing it. So, a ton of kids getting degrees. And then I think kids are like, and this happened with me too. I think NIL is a big reason why I don't play basketball anymore, but you start to like learn other things about you. Like NIL brings out the individuality of each student athlete. So before you would see Geo Baker, Ron Harper Jr., Paul Mulcahy, basketball player. And now it's like you see Geo Baker, Ron Harper Jr., Paul Mulcahy, you see the NIL deals that they're doing and the different stuff. So like with Paul, you automatically think Grateful 4 Foundation. And it's like, oh, wow, I couldn't do that before. Or Geo Baker, he was doing clothing brand with Alpha Fitness and dang, couldn't do that before. So it's like you see the individuality of each person, and athletes get to learn business skills. Like you always talk about like, oh, well, athletics translates really well into life. Well, it's like this makes it even easier to translate into life because now you're you're kind of going through it too. So it's not as much of a shift. So I think it's a great thing all around. Obviously, there's going to be scandals, whatever. There were scandals before. Like that's just how it goes. And the biggest schools are going to have the most money, just like they did before. Before it was going into the facilities, and now it's just going into the student athletes. That's really the only difference. I don't like hate where it's going right now. I love it. I think it's great. And I think that people will try to make adjustments and then, try to perfect it as best they can. But the reality is it's never going to be perfect, but the good outweighs the bad for sure, in my opinion.
Definitely. And it says a lot that like, a guy like Drew Timme comes back for another year. He was, projected to be a mid of the first round draft pick. And he's coming back for Gonzaga because you can make more money as a college athlete a lot of the times than you can going into the pros. And, there are a lot of really good college players who probably can't make it at the next level, who basically have no earning potential for their athletic career, which kind of sucks. Like, especially because how much money these guys are making for their different universities and, for their different conferences. So I think it's a great thing. And for certain athletes, like, a field hockey player, if she's got like, a great personality, or if she's like really funny or something like that, her biggest earning potential is when she's in college and has this big platform. So if she can like, get 1 million followers on TikTok, she can actually leverage that while she's, at her highest earning potential as an athlete.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, the thing about it too is that has nothing to do with her sport. Like, it was the fact that like her sport was limiting that is crazy. Where it's like her, this obviously this is made up, but his or her, potential earning was limited because of a sport, and the earning had nothing to do with the sport. It just, didn't really make sense to me. And that was really my thought process when I was kind of speaking out about everything.
Now, you mentioned some of the deals that guys are making between you doing the T-shirt thing, Paul doing the Grateful 4 Foundation. Are you jealous that Caleb McConnell got a car?
We were actually, me and him were joking about that. I slid up on his story. I was like, dang, that's fire, bro. And he was like, yeah,
don't forget I started this.
He was like, they'll probably, he was like, yeah, they'll probably mess with you too. I'm like, nah, they never hit me up. Like, so I was, a little upset about that. I'm not a big car person though. So, I got my little Honda and I'm good with that. So, if Honda want to give me a deal, then we can, we'll talk.
There you go.
But
Honda in the comments.
Right. But, I'm super happy for him. And I remember like when we first, it's just funny too. Cause like when I was first fighting for NIL, like a lot of the the people who were upset were like Rutgers fans. They were like, oh, Rutgers athletes are fucked. Like, what are you doing? Like, and they're like, we don't have any car dealerships. Like, I remember people literally saying like, there's no car dealerships that'll do a deal. And it's like, shit, we got one. Like, you know,
yeah,
so
that's bullshit.
It's cool to see like kind of everything, like going the way I envisioned it when I was fighting for it. Cause obviously it was a little scary. Like, damn, what if they're right? Like, what if Rutgers is fucked, you know? So that was part of the reason why I started Knight Society too, was, you know, I want to make sure to contribute to that. And obviously Knights of Raritan too is doing a great job. And I think we're doing a lot better than people expected for Rutgers. So it's been great to see.
So I remember when this whole thing happened, it was a tournament time, right? I guess when you guys all wore t-shirts and stuff. Are you guys actually going to sit out and just not break the streak, or?
No, so we weren't. We weren't going to sit out the game. We wanted. So like the plan was, and we had talked to Clemson about this too. So we wanted to delay the game. So like they were going to throw the ball up, and like we were all just going to stand there. That was the plan. And the coaches kind of stopped it a little bit. They were like, look, you guys could do that, and that's great, but they're just going to immediately change the channel to another game. And we were like, oh yeah, that does kind of make sense. So he was like, so listen, like the message won't really get across. I think it still would have got across in my opinion.
It would have been huge. It would have been viral on social media.
On social media, yeah. And you know, I think honestly the coaches were just kind of scared, which is fine. You know, I was kind of scared too, you know, trying to plan it. So you know, don't really regret that we didn't do it. I think we still got our message across. Everything still happened, so everything is all good. But that was kind of the plan, was just to try to delay the game a little bit, and probably good we didn't. Rutgers Nation probably would have killed me too. So
I mean, how do you pass up that patent in alley-oop as soon as the tip happens too? So it's like, it's there. Like, do I stop? Do I stand? Do I throw it?
Right.
So NIL, obviously, Rutgers is clearly not fucked with NIL. I think if anything, Rutgers is being elevated by NIL right now, and you can't really highlight that more than looking at a guy like Ace Bailey, who there's rumors he has a pretty significant NIL deal lined up for when he comes to Rutgers. A lot of people shit on Pike that said he couldn't recruit. This is kind of like the biggest, you know, what about him kind of, and we might have some more big time players coming to us in the class of 24.
Oh, well, one at a time.
So one at a time. So have you had a chance to talk to Ace Bailey at all, or have you watched his game? I think Rutgers fans would love to hear what you think about Ace Bailey.
Yeah, I've talked to him a little bit, and I've seen him play a little bit. Honestly, I haven't watched too much tape, which I probably should, but from the tape I have seen, like, you can just tell, like, you can understand why he's a 5-star. I mean, this dude is he has legit guard skills at 6'10", and he makes it look effortless. And it's like he's not even like really like big and strong yet. So it's like you take that into account, and you know, you get this kid in the weight room and you get him under Pike's philosophy of defense first. It's like, oh shit, like this dude could be like a real killer, like a real killer. You know, so that's just great to see. And obviously I'm super happy for Pikes too, to be able to get that done. And I think he did prove a lot of people wrong in the sense of that he can't recruit. Like the fact that, and even, you know, that never even really made sense to me. It's like, okay, obviously this guy can recruit. We just made the NCAA tournament technically 3 years in a row. So it doesn't matter what the stars were. The dude can recognize talent, which is important. And, you know, and then you think about Cliff, like Cliff had offers from Kentucky. Like, this isn't like, it's not like he was some hidden gem. Like, it's not some hidden gem that nobody knew about. Like, he was a nationally known recruit. And then, you know, you add in Gavin and now Ace. Like, I mean, he's finding some big time guys, man.
Yeah, I want to ask you about Gavin. What have you watched his games at all, or his tape?
I love Gavin, and he's a New England kid too. So, you know, some home ties. He played for Expressions, which is a team that I played for when I was younger. I was a freshman in high school, and I played for them. So he knows like a bunch of the coaches that I know too. So we talked a little bit. And again, great kid, great family, like most down to earth 5-star I've ever met. like if you're a 5-star, you got to have a little bit of, you know, he doesn't have that. Like, obviously he has it on the court, but
that's what I was going to say. I'll beg to differ there, man.
No,
see those goggles on the court.
Yeah,
just like that
on the court he has it, but like as soon as he's off the court, like you would have no idea. You know what I mean? And just speaks to the type of person he is and how he grew up and the people around him. But in terms of his game, I mean, everyone talks about how great of a shooter he is. Like, he's athletic as shit. Like, super athletic. And that's obviously going to translate to the Big Ten right away. And he's strong. Like, obviously he's skinny, but you can tell like he's pretty ripped. And I think like again, going back to the weight room with Van Dyke, just for that summer, like he's gonna get cut up really fast, like really, really fast. It happens quick, man. I know I got to campus. I was 150 pounds when I got to campus, or 160 pounds when I got to campus, around there. Pike.
How tall
I don't
are you?
even know
6'4"?
anymore. I'm 6'4" and
6'4", 160.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you were
literally. I was real small, real small. I don't even remember the actual weight now because Pike, he tells a story so much and he makes up a new weight every time. I've heard him say like 130 before, so it's messing up my head of where I was actually at. I think I was like 150, 160, but I remember by the end of the summer I was 180. So like we're talking about like like
that was like all muscle too.
Yeah, like all muscle. It got to the point where I was like, I need to stop for a little bit because I got super slow too. I got like really, really slow, but it all evened out eventually. But that's the type of weight that like, you can potentially put on just in that summer of Van Dyke. And, some of these guys coming in, they're going to see that fast. Like Gavin's going to get real big real quick. So,
Yeah, it's crazy to look at like the freshman year pictures. A lot of these kids, like Cliff was always like a specimen, but now he's just like this rocked up like statue, man.
Him, Mawat, Dre. I mean, these dudes just like, I'm looking at him like, yo, did they change something in the weight room? Like, why did I not? Like, was I slacking? Like, what was going on? Like, these dudes look huge. Mawat looks huge. Yeah. Like, shit, I got to get in the gym again. Damn.
I mean, while we're on recruiting, I got to ask it. You know the question. You know who it's going to be about. What do you think? Do you think they land Harper or what?
I mean, so listen, I got no inside information. I'm not gonna lie; they're keeping it real close to home. Honestly, Ron, like I be asking Ron all the time, like, yo, just let me know, like, just tell me, bro. And he doesn't even know. He's like, look, it's his choice. Like it's really up to Dylan, and they've always been like that. I mean, their family. Ron's mom is very smart woman, and she trusts her kids to make the right choice, and regardless of what he does, she's going to support him. And Ron's the same way, regardless of what Dylan does. He's going to support him. I think Rutgers has a great shot, with all that being said. I mean, Dylan he's been to a couple of the games. He knows all the guys really well. Like during COVID, Oscar, myself, like we were staying at Ron's house. Like we were there with Dylan when he was like, when he was nobody, right? He was this little like 7th grade kid, and he was a bucket back then too, but like completely makeover now of what he is now. But like we're very personal with him, you know what I mean? Like that's like our little brother, really. Like we kind of saw him grow up, and it's not just us two. Like all the other guys who lived kind of far away would go to Ron's house for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, and Dylan's right there too. You know what I mean? So the whole team like knows him really, really well. And then obviously you have a great example. You've seen your brother do it, and he's now on the Raptors. It's like you've seen the blueprint, you see that it works. You're right near home. There's a lot of check marks, you know what I mean? And that's what you want as a recruit, is like you're looking at where you want to go and spend the next 4 years. And Dylan's a very mature kid too. I think he's able to look, obviously he may not be there 4 years, but he's able to look, ahead and be like, damn, like this is a great spot for me where I'm going to be able to grow and learn and get better. And I'm surrounded by great people like Ron and myself. We still always are involved with Rutgers, and it's like, damn, we don't even go there anymore. And you see something like that, and it's like, oh, it's like a family, and that's something that you want as a player.
Yeah, I want to dive more into that. Just like how true, like a lot of programs say, it's a family, blah blah blah, but it's just rings hollow. It's total bullshit. But with Pike, it doesn't feel that way. Like we just saw an example of Oscar's parents came in from Sweden. Oscar hasn't played much, but Pike, I don't know if he made it intentional to make sure that Oscar got minutes, and he had arguably the best game of his career for Rutgers. You look at like the Ace Bailey commitment video, none of those guys celebrating are going to play with Ace for the most part. They're all celebrating like, they're so bought into the program. Like you and Ron, you're still like Ron's in the NBA. He's at Rutgers more than most people. And I don't know how he's doing it. He must have some kind of jetpack. Like, what is it about Pike that like that really just like makes guys like want to stick around the program? Like, what is it that he does that's different than most programs?
I mean, I think he just does a great job of laying out that with him, it's bigger than basketball. So he says it, and then you see him act on it too. Like, I think one great example is Jameel Warney, who obviously didn't go to Rutgers. This dude is in our facility like every day in the summer. Like, he's in there like every day in the summer, just hanging out with Pike, hanging out with Rich, our athletic trainer. And it's like, he doesn't need to do that. Like, he doesn't need to. I'm sure Jameel can find a gym anywhere, but it's like he's just always around, always talking great about Pikes. And it's like, damn, this dude played for Pikes a while ago. Like, this wasn't like, it wasn't like extremely recent. And, they still have that relationship. They still have that love. Coach Pikes will still calls me like randomly. And I know he doesn't want to call me, right? Like again, he's thinking about national championship. He's not thinking about like, damn, let me call my past players. And he's checking in, like little stuff like that. You just notice it. And I think that like trickled down to me and Ron. I thought we did a great job of like, if a recruit came, so like when Mawat came, Oscar came on a visit, Jacob Young, Caleb, for me, when Ron came on a visit, like my goal was like, yo, you're gonna have the best visit of your life. And like, I don't know if you guys saw the John Wall video and the Tyler Hansborough thing. Did you guys see that? And it's like, that's the reality of a lot of places. You didn't see it?
No, I thought you were going to say the John Wall when he's talking about Dylan, but no, I haven't seen what you're talking about.
No, about Tyler Hansborough. So basically he said that he was picking between UNC and Kentucky, and he went on the visit to UNC. He saw Tyler Hansborough. He went up to him like to go talk to him, like say what's up. And he said Tyler just looked at him and was like, I don't talk to recruits.
What?
Like, oh shit, like what? Like, you know what I mean? And that's why that was my reaction. I'm like, what? Like, but that's the reality though. And I've talked to some of the guys too. I'm like, how was your other visits? And they're like, they didn't really like give me much attention. Like we didn't do much. And like, but it's like at Rutgers, oh no, you family for the day. Like if you're a recruit and whoever your host is, like they're gonna make sure that you have a great time, whether it's going out or just hanging playing video games. You always ask the recruit like, what do you want to do, right? And kind of adjust to their schedule. But like, and then you get the whole team. Like anytime we had a recruit, Oscar's visit, getting the whole team together, like we're all gonna hang out, like so you can see the full environment. And that was just our mindset, and that was part of building it too. Like as a recruit, again. Like if you want to go to a school where you have that family environment where that like people really care about you. And I think we always did a good job of just like showing the guys like, look, like we want you here. You know what I mean? Like this isn't like just the coach saying that, like it's all of us and this is a family. And I think we did a great job of that. And I think the guys this year are continuing that as well.
So now take us through one of these visits. I know like you kind of mentioned they're all kind of different because you asked the kids what they want to do, but like just take us through what your plan is when you're hosting a kid.
Man, we're going to a party. Hey, oh man, Pikes isn't gonna like that one, but so I'll walk you through like the official part of the visit first, though. Okay. So like the coaching staff is gonna bring the kid to the best place to eat. So Steakhouse 85 was always on the menu for sure. And I always loved it. So I would just try to be the host every single time. Like, so I was eating good. My 5 years at Rutgers, I was eating good, man. Those host years. But we would go to Steakhouse 85, which is like the kid and the family. And obviously before that, they would go around and see campus, and like they would show them one of the guys' rooms. Usually tell the guys beforehand, like, yo, make sure to clean your room, like make it clean because the family's gonna come in, all that stuff. So the family gets to see like how the guys live, right? You get to see like what the dorms look like. You get the chance to see campus. Usually they'll walk you around like places where there's a lot of people. So then people kind of like stop and say hello. Like usually get the fans to interact. And Rutgers fans are great too. They always, show a ton of love. So that's always a great part of the visit. And then like I said, you get the dinner where you get to go to Steakhouse 85. It's like the full coaching staff, the host, the player host, the kid and his family. So all that together, it's a great atmosphere. All the coaches are super personable, so that's always usually a great time as well. And then after that, the family will usually go to the hotel, and then the host or the player can decide if you would want to go with the host to like go hang out with the team, maybe experience the nightlife, and honestly, sometimes just play video games. Like some of the kids just like I'm good, or and it depends on the day of the visit too. Like if it's a Wednesday, it's like all right, we're not really gonna do anything. Like we'll just kind of hang out. And then usually on those days too, like they'll try to plan something where we'll do like team bowling or something. I remember Andre Hyatt's visit. his first time. We did like bowling, and Dre sucked at bowling, so he didn't even want to play. He didn't want to play. He was just kind of sitting there watching.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but that's usually how it goes. And then obviously, if they do want to go out, try to take them to a frat party. Some obviously you can't take them to a bar if they're not old enough. So try to take them to like a little frat party. Usually what I would always do is I would text the frat ahead of time, because sometimes there is a little bit of trouble getting in the door. I would try to text them ahead of time. Like,
come on, you never had a problem getting in anywhere. Come on.
Sure, you'd be surprised. Really? Man. Yeah, you'd be
year one, year two, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, year one. No, we didn't get.
Who the hell are you?
Only place we got into was AE Pi, year one, and even then, like again, had to text them ahead of time. Like, yo, I'm gonna pull up. Like, am I good? But it definitely changed.
It's got to be embarrassing. You pull up somewhere and you kicked out. And you have to go to like 3 parties down. You don't even know the people. Yeah.
Dude, it was so like, it's funny. All the frat kids always say this to me, like, yo, like we never had athletes at the parties until you got here. They're like, you really you created the bridge. And like, I was like, damn, like I was like thinking about it, I'm like, yo, you're right. Like I really did. Like it was crazy because I used to show up to the parties and they wouldn't let me in, and like, the initial reaction for an athlete, usually if they don't get let in, is like to be an asshole, right? Like, man, fuck you. Yeah. Like, you're not gonna let me in here. Like, you know who I am, blah, 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 like that shit. And I would always I'd always be super respectful. I'd be like, all right, yeah, like totally understand. Like, I appreciate that. Can I get your number? So that way maybe like next time I could just let you know. And like freshman year, they're like, who the hell is this guy? Like, sure, I'll give you my number, but like, you're not getting in. Like, I'm like, all right, yeah, let me get your number. And then like, I would text them, and then it would be true. They wouldn't let me in again. And I was like, all right. But then Madison Square Garden happened, and I started balling in the tournament. And now it's like, okay, this kid is obviously a really fucking nice kid, and he can kind of hoop a little bit. So yeah, like, yo, pull up to the party. So it started off with just like me. And then I always ask him, like, yo, can I bring one teemmate? And they let me bring one teammate, so it'd always be me and Pikiell. We'd always go together. Me and Pikiell. We'd go every time. God, and like eventually the other guys would want to start going too. And like at first they were like, nah, only Geo and Pete are good. But then we started getting good. Like, so I was like sophomore year, we weren't as good. And then junior year, that's like when we got really good. And, we beat Wisconsin and Seton Hall back to back. And they're exactly texting me, yo, party at the frat tonight. Like, yo, bring the whole team. And it's like, bring the whole team. Like, are you sure? Like, bring the whole team. Like, all right, like, we'll do it. And then they realized that all the guys were nice guys. So it's like, okay, now you have the whole team in there, and everyone's being personable. Everyone's talking to, the frat kids and just being nice dudes, being genuine dudes. And they kind of realized that. And then it got to the point where like, the whole team would just pull up. We wouldn't even really need to text them. Just get there like, oh, yeah, you're good. Like, what's up, guys? And just kind of walk in. There still was a couple times where it's like, sorry, man. Like, we just can't do it today. And again, like, still having that same reaction, like, all right, yeah, no worries, man. Like, totally get it. And just kind of, move on, try to go to the next one. And, yeah, so for the most part, we're good now.
Yeah, culture changer on and off the court.
Yeah, probably culture changer in the wrong way for Pike. In that sense, I don't think
it's college.
Like, yeah,
that's
right.
Big time athletics too. Like every school in the South does that shit. Like basketball or football.
Exactly.
They have frat row at least.
Yeah.
It's a struggle.
So let's talk more about what you've been up to lately. So you've kind of just been a bit of an entrepreneur. So. There's 3 main things I'm aware of between Nice Society, between your podcast, and between your training. Let's talk about Nice Society first of all. You and Eric LeGrand formed this. What's it been like running an NIL organization? What were some of like the things that surprised you about it, and how have the both the athletic department and athletes kind of responded to you when you've asked for like involvement in business and stuff?
It's been great, and it's obviously been really hard. It's running a business is not easy. And I knew that going in, but I didn't know it. You know what I mean? I didn't know what I was, preparing myself to face and, trying to organize different things and making sure that the fans are happy, making sure the athletes are happy, making sure I'm happy, so, trying to take care of all those things. But obviously it's been a great experience. I mean, the best part about it is like how we've approached it with like just the community aspect of all the fans coming together and getting a chance to hang out with the student athletes, paying the student athletes for their time. And it's beneficial more than just financially for the student athletes. Like they're getting a chance to meet all these alumni, the donors, maybe other students who want to get a chance to meet them. So I think that it's great for their social skills and, for the future. Because again, like not all student athletes are going to go pro, or even if they do go pro, maybe there isn't a ton of money in it, so you do need that backup plan. And I think that's kind of how we've approached it. But I love it, man. I've had a lot of fun. I think the biggest surprise was like when we first started it, we kind of sat down and we're like, look, we want to provide as much value as we can to the fans. So like creating this awesome membership program where like, you're going to get a ton of shit in return. And like the realization was like the people who jump in, they just kind of want to give the money to the athletes. Like they're not really like too worried about like, I need this, I need that. Like we haven't been perfect, but we haven't gotten like any like email complaints like this shit sucks. Like I was promised this, and I haven't gotten like nothing like that. You know what I mean? And I think it shows that, really the fans just want to support student athletes. Like they're not looking for a ton of shit in return. And we're starting to adjust to that. So we don't really do the membership program anymore. Now we're just doing events, and, we're just going to try to put on really cool events. You have to, pay a small fee to get into the event, and, all the money is going to go to the student athletes. You get to, experience this little watch party and, see some other student athletes that'll be there. And that's easier to manage than like this like full membership program where there's like a ton of rewards and, like a loyalty program type of deal. So I think that's been like the only thing that we were surprised about. And, we tried to adjust accordingly to that.
So now you said the main thing's mostly events now, or are you trying to do other deals as well on top of that?
Yeah. So like mainly events, and part of the events too is like, so right now Learn to Lead, Beacon Wealth and Asbury Park Brewery are sponsoring the event. So, bringing in companies too to put their name on it. And we do a good job of advertising those companies and explaining that it's important to support the businesses that support student athletes. So that's a part of it too. And then for me, like I still love to like do creative stuff for companies where like, I'm like, look, and I like, give me your budget and I'll find student athletes to promote it for you. So that we do that as well. But I'd say our main focus right now is on the event side of things. And then like me personally, like I still try to like go around it and try to like do creative strategy for different businesses. And that's been working out great too. Like Learn to Lead, the guy, Dave Anderson. I mean, this is a dude has literally zero Rutgers ties. Like, you know what I mean? He loves it.
What was the connection there? Because everybody reads his book. Everybody's hyping up. Like I've seen basically every Rutgers basketball player talk about Dave Anderson at some point.
Yeah.
So what's his connection to the program, and like how cool of a guy is he? Because I imagine he's got to be like somebody you guys actually look up to and enjoy talking to.
Yeah, so he came in. I think we met him. I don't even remember how we met him. We met him through Paul, I believe. Okay. So him and Paul were kind of like talking, and like I said, Paul's like has that mindset of like a winner, and obviously Dave Anderson's whole thing is mindset and mentality, and so that's kind of how they got connected. And then Paul wanted to bring him to the team, and he asked Coach Pike, like, can I bring this guy to come speak to us? I think it'll help us win games. And, Pike's is like, well, yeah, I want to win games. So like, yeah, if you trust him, then let's do it. So he kind of came and spoke to all of us. He gave all of us his book, and he loved like the way that we, the way we paid attention, like we were really listening to the things he was saying. And I think he noticed that, and that led to him like wanting to do some NIL deals with us. So like Ron, myself, Paul, Caleb, like we all started doing like little Twitter posts, just quotes of the book, why is it important, how it applied to our season. And that took off. Like he gained a ton of social media, like Twitter followers from Rutgers fans because of what we were tweeting out. A bunch of people were buying the books. And then when I started Night Society, I was like, look, we can take us a step further. You can do it for every sport, and I'll just kind of facilitate everything. We can do a whole creative strategy for it. Get your book out there. We did it with Riley Tiernan, John Paz, Caleb, Derek Simpson, Andre Hyatt, like the list goes on. And we started doing it across, just, I think a gymnast did it as well, Gianna Ortiz. So like we did a bunch of different deals for his book, and he's seeing great returns. Like the thing he really wanted was like just more social media buzz. And if you go to his Twitter, like when I go, like I don't follow every Rutgers person that follows me. Obviously that'd be impossible. But like, like I go there, there's like 200 people that I follow that are following him. It's like, oh shoot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and like, that's crazy to see. And I think it shows that, if you're a company, like you should think about doing it. You should think about doing student athlete promotion, especially if your target audience is New Jersey. Like for Rutgers athletes, it's a no brainer, you know. And what we're saying at Night Society is, you know, we can come up with that creative strategy for you and come up with a plan and put it out there. And it's a good form of marketing. Like you're going to get great returns, especially on social media. You're going to get a ton of buzz.
We got to talk about this real quick. We used to chat all the way back in 2016 when I was a recruiting analyst. We would go back and forth, BS and here and there. And to this day, I still don't have a follow back.
Yeah. Wait, Ash?
Yeah. To this day.
Well, you know what it is?
I could be critical at times.
Nah,
look, fine.
Listen, I got no problem following you. I'm going to find it right now.
No, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I'm big time. I got more followers than you now.
I mean, you know what it is, though? It's probably because we were DMing. I probably just figured that we were already following each other.
You're good.
But, dang, you just put me on the spot, though.
Damn, that's one way to get a follow.
So I want to piggyback off yeah, that worked, right? Should hire me for that.
I'm going to find it later.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's what they all say. So let me ask you this, because one of the board members actually wanted me to ask you this. Did you read the message boards during college, and did it really have any effect on your play style, or did it like mentally like hit you at all? Because obviously they're fans; they're all crazy. I'll admit it.
Yeah, you know it's crazy. I accidentally found the message board like my freshman year, and I was like, "Fuck," because like I know myself. I knew I was gonna go back. I'm like, "Fuck, I'm definitely gonna go back to this."
Works every time. Always can.
Yeah. So I did. I would look at it, and I don't think it affected me too much. It probably did. And I just didn't even realize it. But I never really took anything that I would see on there too seriously. Especially like if you would like, I wouldn't really do this there when I'm playing, but now that I'm like on there as a fan, I'll look at the game thread and I'm like,
brutal.
Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, damn, these dudes react like immediately to like one play, and it's like, this kid fucking sucks. I'm like,
yeah.
No, he doesn't, you know? So like that kind of puts it in perspective. Like, yeah, I don't really take anything too seriously on there. But I think especially my senior year, or my fifth year, was the first time I was able to, not just the message board, but just like Twitter, Instagram, anything, where it was like, I didn't take anything seriously from outside perspective. So it really took me that long. It took me 5 years to like really be like, all right, it doesn't matter how bad I played the last game. Like, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like I've been here a million times. Like I have no doubt in my mind that like I am fine. And that took a while for me. I don't think it's the same for everyone. I think Paul does a great job of that. Like he's locked in no matter what. And we just had like Quincy Doobie on our podcast, Austin Johnson and I's podcast, Are You Listening? And, kind of listening to him speak on mindset. I was like, damn, I wish I'd heard this like way back, like sophomore year, and then like Cam Spencer, his approach is like, I got so much respect for him, man. Like, I'm like, dude, this dude is different.
No social media.
No social media.
Totally
so it's like,
down.
yeah,
Pike loved that when he was recruiting.
Oh my God, Pike loved it.
You don't have a phone? Perfect.
Yeah,
you're in.
That's like the perfect example for Pike now. Like, it's gonna be annoying, honestly. Like, yeah, you gotta be like Cam. Like, you gotta be like Cam. Like, look at Cam. But no,
my
like
guy Cam, he's so good. He doesn't have social media. He's
yep.
That guy.
Literally though, but huge respect for Cam though, because like that's one dude, like shit. He was going through a little rough patch where he wasn't making shots. He didn't care.
Yeah,
like he didn't care at all. But like for me, it was like I would know when I was going through a rough patch, but then you go on the message board, it's like shit. Everybody else knows I'm going through a rough patch too.
Yeah,
So it's like, fuck, like, yeah, I gotta change that. So, that's like maybe the one like little thing where it's like, you do think about it, but at the same time, your routine and your work always overcomes that. Like it always does, maybe, but for a second there is gonna be that little mental like, damn, everybody knows I'm playing like shit right now. Like that that's always hard. That's hard.
I think I saw you tweeting about this recently, how much shit the Indiana players were getting from their fans and how, they were starting to just kind of crack, and how hard that must be to kind of keep your composure and keep focused, especially like a guy like Trace Jackson Davis probably has like 100,000 followers on all his different platforms. So he's just getting it from everybody. Yeah,
man, it's not easy. I mean, you think about like anything, like whatever your job is, like at the end of the day, like college basketball is a job. And it's like, if you spend your entire job just getting berated, like, Like even when it's like maybe not even a half bad day, like, you know, and someone's just critiquing every little thing. It's like that can get tiring. Like, and I think they did reach a breaking point. And I'm glad that they like used it the right way though. Like they're obviously playing a lot better now. But it's hard. Like it's not easy to go through. And so I had my fair share of troubles. These guys are too. And Indiana's probably a lot worse than Rutgers too with that stuff. You know, like Indiana has a very good history, a very good background in basketball. You know, so if you're not playing well at Indiana, they're gonna let you know you're not playing well at Indiana. So.
Yeah, and I kind of want to talk a bit about Indiana because in the preseason you were not sold on Indiana. You said nobody's scared of Indiana. What is it about certain programs that Rutgers like just kind of owns? Like if you look at like
the state
of Indiana,
played
Purdue really well. They've played Indiana really well. But then there's programs like Iowa who always give us problems. So what is it about like some programs that Rutgers plays really well and others that we don't? Yeah.
So first I want to go back to those preseason rankings where I wasn't big on Indiana. The crazy part is like, because this is my first time like being like an analyst per se. Mm-hmm. My rankings were going to be totally different, but I was like, shit, I got to have them at number 2. Like everyone has them at number 1. And it's like, I can't make this like crazy prediction and be wrong. And honestly,
that same podcast, Goodman ranked Rutgers 11th. I'm sure you were like, there's no fucking way we're finishing 11th.
I think he said, was it 11th? There's 11th or 12th.
He said 11th.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, dude, you're tripping. Like, I was like, and the same with Rutgers. I had them at 6 because like, I'm like, damn, everyone got them like 8th, 10th. And I'm like, I feel like they can finish top 4. And like, I didn't. But it's like, again, like my first time being an analyst, I don't want to look like biased. Because I'm trying to like be professional about it. And I'm like, man, next time, fuck that. Like next time I'm doing whatever is in my head. Because like I had Michigan State pretty high, honestly, and they're all right. Ohio State I had higher. They're awful right now. So like no one had a clue. Like that was the thing I realized too when I was talking to other people. Like dude, I like repicked my list like a million times. And I have no idea. And you're seeing it now, 2 through 12 is just like a shit show. Like no one has any idea where they're going to end up. So it was really hard picking teams this year. And obviously it was my first year, so it was just really hard picking teams in general. But yeah, in terms of like playing against certain schools, with me, Indiana was just like, when I think of like a team where it's like, I need to be prepared, like mentally, like, oh shit, they're coming into town. Like I got to be ready. I always think Michigan State, like immediately. So, and people were giving me shit like, oh, you should never be scared of anybody. It's like, okay, like obviously scared isn't the right word, but like in terms of like, we need to be ready. Like Michigan State was always the team where it's like, yo, they're going to hit you. They're going to run. Like if you're not locked in on all the details, but it's like Indiana is like, it's just Indiana. Like, you know what I mean? It's just not. Is
it just because they like have these talented guys and they don't develop them? They don't have like discipline. Like what is it specifically?
So this year's a little. No, this year's kind of the same too. For me, it was always just they had young guards. So like, I remember they had that. I don't know if it was a 4-star or 5-star, but the lefty who came in, the kid Christian, I don't remember his last name. He came in and like he had this like big buzz around him. He ended up transferring. He doesn't go there anymore. There's like I forget his last name. I don't know what it is. But he came in.
Christian Payton.
No, I think it was an L. I feel like it was an L. Landers. Is his name even Christian? Maybe it's not even Christian.
I don't know. We don't have to stick to it. The high-rated guard.
He was high-rated guard. And it's like, those are the games where you're like, you're excited. Like, oh, I have a freshman coming in. Like, I'm about to show him, you have no idea what it takes to win.
Talking about Romeo Langford?
Nah, not Langford. Not Langford. He was tough.
Oh, Christian Lander. Yeah, you're right.
Lander. Yeah. So he came in and, like everyone was hyping him up, like, oh, Indiana's get back. Like, we have this great point guard. It's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Like, these young freshmen coming in. That's no hate to him. Like, I felt the same way with, any team that have a young freshman coming in. Like, you just get really excited because as a veteran, like, I know stuff that you don't about winning. Like, and it's just, it's just simple math, like years of experience, So I would always be really excited to play against Indiana. Rob Finney too. Like, I was excited when he came in. Like, I knew I was going to have the advantage. Just didn't think that their guards like just knew how to win. And so that was the thing for me. And then obviously Trace Jackson Davis, everyone like the hype in preseason was like, oh, he's this great player. It's like, he's been a great player and they still haven't been good. You know what I mean? Like he's been doing the same thing every year. So that's like there wasn't anything intimidating about them to me because it was the same team that was continuously getting beat over and over again. But they're starting to prove me wrong. Honestly, they're playing great right now. They're playing great basketball. I did say Hutch Schifino was going to be the deciding factor for them. Like he gives them.
It took him half a season to really get comfortable.
Exactly, and that's what it takes for a freshman. And honestly, sometimes that adjustment never happens. It shows how good of a player he is. But he's the difference maker because they needed that playmaking guard. And they just never had that. Like the kid Lander wasn't that. Rob Finney, I don't think he ever averaged like more than like 5 points or whatever it is that he averaged. Like, they didn't have that before where it's like a threat where, the guards are worried, you know what I mean? And it was only Trace. And it's like, okay, Trace, you can't even shoot a 3. So, it's not much is going to happen there. But Hutch Schifino is starting to be that difference maker for sure. And they're starting to play really, really good basketball.
Well, hot take here. They're beating Purdue this weekend.
Think so.
I think so. I think they're going to pull it off. Zach Edey wasted all those points.
Somebody's got to catch Purdue, man. Somebody's got to catch him.
What he scored? 38. Edey had 38 on Michigan.
Either way, it's a great lead up for Rutgers because that's that's an emotional game. Like they're going to be worn out. Rutgers is getting some more time off. I like that they're playing Purdue before they play us.
As good as Purdue's been, I still don't see them making a tournament run.
Yeah. The way Rutgers shut them down, once they realized you just double Edey every time he touches the ball, their offense fell apart against us.
Yeah, I feel like this is like a classic case of they beat teams in the non-conference when they were still figuring it out. Like good teams in the non-conference, they were still kind of figuring it out, and that got them to their number 1. And then the Big Ten is just like a little overrated as always. So now they're keeping that number 1, but when they run into guards that can really pressure their guards. That's like the one thing where they haven't shown that they're able to handle pressure very well. It's gonna be some problems, man. Like Rutgers did a great job exposing that. Every catch, high hands,
back to the freshman guys too. They have 3 freshman guards they're relying on.
Yeah, so. I mean, and that's just an adjustment period. But also they're freshman guys aren't traditional point guards. I would say in terms of speed and athleticism. Smith isn't. He's good. He's a great player for sure. But just when you think about an elite point guard, in terms of speed, quickness, ball handling, he isn't that. You know what I mean? So I think that's the only thing I could see hurting them in the tournament. But obviously, they're. I can say all the shit I want. They've only lost 1 game. That's crazy. That's insane.
All right, I got one more for you, and then I'm done. So you obviously have had a ton of big shots at Rutgers. What was that one game or one game-ending moment where you're just give me the ball? I'm doing this. I'm doing this right now. I'm winning it for us.
Ooh, shit. There's a couple, honestly.
There's only 20 to pick.
I was intense when the game was on the line, man. This one is gonna suck to tell, honestly, because we lost.
Okay.
But
is it the Notre Dame one?
No, it was Iowa. No. It was Iowa.
Okay.
Lee's camp hit that bank.
I remember that. That was disgusting.
So we call a timeout, and we're Pike's is drawing up a play, which is it's basically just get it to me. But there's a little play design because it's out of bounds first, obviously. So let's just get me open first. And Caleb, in the heat of the moment, sometimes you're so tired and you're just thinking you're nervous. You're damn, we gotta win. We break out of the huddle. Caleb just didn't pay attention at all. He had no idea where we were running. So he kind of looks at me. He's like, G Bake, what are we doing? I forget. And I literally look at him I'm going to get the ball and I'm going to shoot that shit. And that's what I told him. I swear to God, I was like, I'm going to get that ball and I'm going to shoot the shit. and I ended up making the shot. It was it bounced off the rim, but that was literally it. I told him that was probably the one where I was real serious. Because normally I'm going to tell him the play. Why would I not tell you the play that we're running? I was like, listen, I'm going to get the ball. I'm just going to shoot that shit. And he was like, all right, we got it. So I did that and obviously made the shot, but then Wieskamp came back and banked it in, which was fucking awful. But Northwestern game too, we were down 20. That whole game, I wish I could figure out mentally how to get in that zone every day. I would have been a friggin' lottery pick. I'd have no idea what type of zone I was in. But that entire game, I literally looked at everyone. I was like, I'm shooting it like every time I touch it. Like that's what we're gonna do today, and ended up working somehow. And Pikes was happy with that. But normally I'm not like that at all. Just, we were down by so much. I was like, listen, like didn't seem like anyone else was like ready to play. I was like, I got it. Like we're gonna do this. But that game, Purdue at the end, the year that the NCAA tournament got canceled.
The JY dunk game.
Yeah, the JY dunk game.
Jeez.
Yeah, that one, which was insane. That game, like end of the shot clock, I was like, yo, I need the basketball. Like, and we just kind of ran like a couple ghost screens just to get me open, get Sasha on me every time, and just kind of took advantage of Sasha Stepanovic's defense every possession. And then it's funny, they would come down the other end, they were running like 5 off-ball screens. They got Sasha running through a million down screens. And then we would just come down to ghost action ISO. It was pretty funny. But that game as well, like I think I was pretty focused on, give me the ball. And the funny part is like my role changed as we would go on. So like obviously my last year was like, we need to give Ron the ball. And and we were good with that. You know what I mean? Like we had that chemistry where we were okay with that. You know what I mean? And he proved that he should absolutely have the ball. And and there was obviously times it's like, oh shit, I want to take the shot. And then if I see if Ron puts his hands up, oh okay, here, take it. Like I immediately get out of the mindset. So I think all great players have that mindset. You see with Cam Spencer right now too. Like he's got that killer mentality with him. So it's important. But those are a couple of the games where I was thinking like that for sure.
So I want to hear more about your podcast. You and Austin Johnson just started Are You Talking? How did that come together, and how do you like podcasting so far?
I love it. So it's actually pretty crazy how it came together. So someone reached out to me on like behalf of Evan Turner, who, was obviously played at Ohio State, played in the NBA.
Former Sixer, yeah.
Who's he's gotten really big in the podcasting space. And he was basically had this idea, like, listen, I want to start a Big Ten podcast where it's like every single school has, 2 or 3 guys, just speaking about the team. And he has this whole vision for it of like where he, sees it going and, different like sponsorships and stuff like that. And it was just a really interesting idea. And obviously I'm, starting to get into that space too. So, reached out to Austin and myself just about, doing the Rutgers one. And, we record weekly. So that's been great. And, just having a lot of fun with it, like being able to just talk Rutgers basketball, give insights as a player, which like before wasn't really the case. There wasn't a lot of players doing that. So that's the main thing that Evan would say to us is like, this is like the new media where it's like you got players like being able to go talk, and it's like it's a different perspective than someone who just hasn't been there. Like there's just like not like a real way to replicate that, I don't think. Because
even when like you have a former player as an analyst on like Big Ten Network or ESPN, they still have to like fit this mold of like kind of even keel. But as an athlete on a podcast, I'm sure you're aware, you can kind of like say whatever you feel.
You can say whatever you feel. It's different. Yeah, it's like not that like professional setting. You know what I mean? And I like that. I really do. So shout out to Evan for bringing that to life, and then Austin and myself we're starting to learn how to be in rhythm with each other, and getting that cadence, just making sure that we're in sync. But it's been great though. I love it a lot, and being able to talk basketball. Austin's a great dude, so he makes it easy for me too, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we mentioned it before, but you're also a trainer, basketball trainer. You said you've spent a lot of time, most time with 7th graders of anybody in your life right now. So how do you like training, and how'd that come together, and how can people find how to sign their kids up if they want to do it?
Yeah, so you can find it at geobakerathletics.com. You can literally book a session right there from the website. I do group sessions, and I also do individual sessions as well. May start planning some other stuff too. Probably might have a camp coming up pretty soon. So that's nice. Pretty cool. But how it started is like pretty funny. I was joking with you guys earlier about this, but like moved to Jersey City with literally no plan. I was just like, I'm just going to figure it out. Like just, I'll figure something out. And then I was like, oh man, like I should just do basketball training. Like why, like why would I not want to teach, you know? And I've always kind of had that mindset, like even as like a captain at Rutgers, like, you know, part of being a captain is teaching. Like you need to teach the young guys, you know, where they need to be, how they need to act, like what you need to do, you know, off the court, on the court, all that stuff. And I always loved doing that. Like I always loved when like a guy would ask me a question, like, oh, where do I go with this? Or how do I do that? And it's, you know, it always felt natural to me to be able to answer those questions. So, you know, that's kind of how the idea of doing basketball training started. And it was really just like, I needed to pay rent too. Like, you know what I mean? But now it's like a full passion. Like I really, really love it, man. Like the kids are great. Seeing the progress, like some of the kids have been with me since September when I first started it. And like, if you came the first day of September and then you saw them today, you would be like, oh shit, like this is, like, it's like really crazy. And it just feels super rewarding to know that like I played a part in their progress. And obviously, and the biggest part is them, like them having the work ethic to continue to show up and to continue to be in the gym and to learn and be willing to learn. But just the fact that, you know, I'm helping them get there is awesome. Like I truly love it. And again, we were joking about this, but like my best friends right now are like 7th graders, which is like hilarious. like the people who I talk to the most in my day-to-day life are literally 7th graders. But like, it's fun though, you know, and it keeps me young and like, I'm learning like new slang and stuff like that. So it's funny, man. And I love it. Like this, like the most rewarded I've ever felt, you know, just doing something. So it's great.
So is that like your pitch to Pike? Like, hey, look at this 5th grader. Look at him at 7th grade. Look what I just did. As soon as you lose one of those guys, I'm in. Like,
Yep. No, 100%. Nah, not really. I'm not making that. I want to get them so good that like I get to tell them like, yo, you got to recruit this kid. You know what I mean? That's like, there you go. That's where I want to be at, man. And that's like a fun idea that I have in my head too, is like, you know, maybe I can help some of these kids stay in Jersey. Like if they do, you know, become really good. And I'm like, look, Pike knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? Like, and
he does,
you know, so that's kind of the hope too, you know, someday we'll get there.
So no aspirations to coach, just you like what you're doing, like high school, college, anything? Yeah. So I'm a very in the moment type of person. So, you know, right now I look at training and it's like, okay, this is what I'm doing. And you know, that's what I love right now. People have asked me many times. I do like think about it, especially because again, I love the kids. Like, damn, starting an AAU team would be super fun, but it's like, I'm trying to be realistic about it too. It's like, you know, I am doing Night Society. I am doing podcasting. I'm doing some other stuff too that you guys didn't even mention, you know, and it's like, I wouldn't be able to put my all into coaching. And I think it's easier to put my all into training than it is to put my all into coaching. Like coaching is, you know, 24/7, you have to do the practices. You have to, you know, AAU trips for games. Like, you know, you got to figure out how to find uniforms. Like, there's a lot of different stuff that goes into it. Whereas, like training, it's like, okay, no, I'm just teaching you for, you know, this little time block. And like, obviously, if you text me, I'm gonna help you, but that's different. Like, it's different than coaching. And like, and then also, like, if I were to coach juniors in high school, it's like, okay, shit, I need to help you get into college. Like, we need to figure out a plan. Like, what level are you? Where you end up? I have to communicate with the college coaches about you, and it's like, it's a lot more to it. If you're going to do it right, I could go and do it and half-ass it, but it's like, okay, I'm not helping the kids. You know what I mean? Like nobody's getting helped in that way. So again, very in the moment person. I could see myself being a coach one day, maybe, but just haven't put a ton of thought into it because it's not realistic right now. It's not my reality.
So I'm looking at geobakerathletics.com right now. See the group session. See the individual basketball training. I don't see the Brian Fonseca package because I know he went there the other day to work out, and I don't see it there. I'm just trying to find out where I can do that lesson, see if I'm better than Brian.
Man, Brian actually texted me and he was like, "Oh, I have this great idea of like, you know, me, or you putting me through some drills," and I was like, "Yeah, like that is an awesome idea." And originally we were gonna do an individual session of just him, and you know, we kind of came with the idea together, like, it would probably be a better story if you actually did it with the kids. So he just went in and booked the session in the group session. You know, so he just did that. He was like, "Listen, I'll pay for it, all that. Like, you know, like it's not free. Like I want to pay for the time." I'm like, "All right, yeah, like you know, I have no problem doing that." But that shit was hilarious. Like that was the funniest shit. Like when he texted me the idea, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be fucking funny." Like, because you know, especially like we were talking about earlier, like seeing the message boards, the tweets, like the articles. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, this is one of the guys who's like writing the art. Like, and I don't think he ever really wrote anything bad about me.
Now.
Yeah, but it's like yo, he spent this, 5 years of my life critiquing my game. I was like, yo, I get a chance to like critique his game, so that was that was like a funny moment for me. And he was awful too. Like, there was one play where like I think it was the first play that he tried. So like he was like third in line. So it's like two kids, go through the drills. They do a couple crossovers. They get their jump shot. I can't remember if they made it or missed it. And then like I like turned away for a second. Like my head was turned for a second. And the next thing I know, he's going through it. And like you just hear like he just slid across the ground. Like he hit like ball goes like across the court. He's like in like a full like penguin slide. Like I was like, what the fuck?
Leave me alone for 2 seconds.
And like he was just like, you could tell he was so caught off guard because like, but there was no cameras caught it. Like no cameras caught it. I was sick. Like
coincidence.
Just like I wish somebody got that on video. It would have been the best. It would have been the best video clip. Like 100% would have went viral. Like he was just sitting there, just like looking like, oh shit, like my bad. I'm like, yo, you're good. Just get up. Like you're all right. Like, cause kids fall. Like kids do fall sometimes. Like it means you're going fast and you're trying to do the drill full speed. But like he was just like so shocked. He's just sitting there like, my bad, guys. That shit was hilarious, man. But it was a great time, and like and obviously I appreciate him for covering the training like that. That's a lot of love too. Like he didn't need to do that, so big respect. And he got better too. Like I think we did some stuff that helped him with his footwork, helped him with his step back, some ball handling. So it was a good time.
So if we ever have a media game, just don't pick him, is what you're saying?
Yeah, no, don't pick him. He's not gonna help much, man. I don't. I'm trying to think of his strengths right now. He's not tall.
Willing participant.
He's not tall, so he's not going to rebound anything. There's not much going on. Make him the coach or something. I don't know.
There you go.
So you said before you're primarily getting into events with Night Society. Let's talk the event that's going on Tuesday, because I don't know how we haven't really focused on that yet. We've kind of been winding around.
Yeah.
Which is great. Got some great content. Let's talk this event. It's going to be at the Olive Branch for the Indiana basketball game. Talk about how that came together, because the front office is also kind of collaborating with the Night Society and Rutgers Rivals. So let's talk about that event. Is tickets still on sale? How did that kind of, who proposed that? Was that you, or was that Pat, or was that the Night? Just kind of talk us through that.
Yeah, so I reached out to Pat, and the reason I did that was so, I don't know if you guys remember the Rutgers Seton Hall banquet, the event that the front office put on. And I was a part of that event, and like I'm looking around, I'm like, damn, like this is so well put together, and Pat is a young, hungry dude, like who, wants to do stuff the right way. Like he wants to make sure that, whoever attends his event, again, going back to like our mindset, which was like value, like whoever attends the event is going to have a great time. And, so I loved everything about the banquet. And then I reached out to him. I was like, look, like, I would love to partner on, some of our events and, try to see where we can take this thing. And he loved the idea of it. And, I basically told him like, look, we'll try to give you as much exposure, for the front office as well. It's, hopefully help you find some more clients. So make sure that, again, that it's like valuable for everybody. And he loved the idea. And that's kind of how we started it. And the pivot, like it was important for us to make that pivot to events. We want to make sure that we set a standard of having really good events, right? Like that's like our mindset. And I feel like the front office is the best people that we could partner with for that to happen. And then obviously for the Indiana watch party, we were kind of just plotting out when we thought was like the best timing to start. So we've been talking about this since January. But obviously it takes a while to like, plan an event and do it the right way. And that's where we were struggling too. It was like, we would have this idea for an event, and like, we would start like marketing it like 3 days before. It's like Geo people have schedules, like they got shit they got to do. People have families, like you can't do that. Yeah. And like that was like another part of like learning how to run a business. I'm like, oh, I have no idea how to run an event, So it's like, okay, got you, like noted. So I told Pat, and he's like, yeah, we got to plan this thing like weeks in advance. So we started to do that a little bit, and I thought Indiana was a great like first game, because obviously like the little beef or whatever, and obviously
one-sided.
It's an away, one-sided, and it being an away game and all of that. So all those things added up together. We thought Indiana would be the perfect game for that. And then we reached out to Doug Schneider at Olive Branch, who's become a kind of like a mentor of mine in terms of like all this business stuff and everything along those lines. He's always open to whatever, and he loved the idea of the event. And one thing led to another, and it was watch party at OB.
Oh yeah. And talk a bit about like, this is obviously an event for the Knight Society. You're selling tickets. Is the money going directly to the athletes? I know the answer, but talk a little about.
So yes, all ticket sales go directly to Rutgers men's basketball student athletes. We'll obviously have them do something for that because we can't just give them the money. But
ROI, baby.
Yeah, right. So we'll have them do appearances and different stuff like that. Maybe like some video shout outs or whatever it may be. But yeah, all the ticket sales are going to go to them. And then we also have other student athletes coming to the watch party. So Riley Tiernan from Rutgers women's soccer, and then Vic Konopka from Rutgers football will also be there to just support and show love. I'm sure some of their teammates are going to show up too. I heard a little rumor that Adam Corsack will be in the building.
Ooh,
unfortunately, we can't pay him to be there because he is a foreign student, so that always sucks. But he'll be there as well. So I'm sure that it's going to be a great time, and happy that the student athletes are getting involved with the community, and happy the ticket sales are going to Rutgers men's basketball student athletes. I feel like it's a great initiative.
So now I'm on social media, obviously, and I'm pretty big into it. Now I saw Caleb McConnell comment. He said he's going to be there. Yeah. I'm just a little confused of how this one's going to work.
I don't know if he was confused. I'm pretty sure he was kidding. But
He's going to be on the screen.
Yeah, he'll be on the screen, right? Yeah. Listen, you never know with Caleb. He may really actually thought he was going to be there. So I was like, yo, see you there, bro. Yeah.
To be fair, I mean, I saw $2 beers and 50-cent pizza, and I was like, shit, well, I have to go.
Gotta go now. You gotta be there. Yeah, man. So yeah, it should be a good time.
Tickets are still available?
Tickets are still available. Yeah, we still have some tickets left. We were expecting a lot of people to buy tickets at the door too. So make sure to be there, man. It should be a really good time.
Are you kind of expecting like a mixed crowd, like it's students mostly, or kind of older people too? I don't know what else.
Expecting a mix. I'm expecting a lot of Riot Squad to be there. I don't know about any other students. Just haven't gotten an extreme feel for it. And Pat's kind of running all the tickets, so I have no idea the ratio right now of general admission and students. He did tell me though it's been a good mix. So that's good to hear. Of course, I think it's always good when you have alumni and students together to kind of build that family bond of like passing the torch, maybe giving knowledge, just talking, whatever it is. I always love that. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now with everything.
Sweet.
That's awesome. Then Geo, we've taken a lot of your time. Really appreciate you coming on. Is there anything you wanted to kind of plug? You mentioned that you have a lot going on that we haven't even gotten into. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up? Where can we find you? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can find me on all socials, Geo_Baker_1. Definitely recommend the basketball training if there's any kids or parents of kids listening. I think it's a great environment. I feel like I'm doing an all right job. So definitely check that out. Knight Society is going well. I really recommend any of the watch parties, events, anything we got going on. And then if you're a business, happy to help your business, happy to market it. I think we do a great job of social media marketing. And it's people are starting to realize the power of that, but it's still, I think, untapped. I think there's still a lot of businesses that just don't get it yet. And, we're here to help you get it. You know what I mean? So, don't hesitate to reach out about that. And, that's, you can kind of, just DM me or, email me. My email's, on my Twitter, on my Instagram, all of that. So, not easy to contact in terms of that. And then go listen to my podcast, man. Let me know how I do too, be honest.
Yeah,
absolutely. Are you talking? I listened to the first 2 episodes that you guys had out. You guys covered NIL in one episode and just kind of an introduction episode. I'm excited to hear your conversation with Quincy Doobie. Dude, can you imagine how good he'd be in today's NBA? I think he was just, a little too early. His game would have translated really well to how the NBA's played today.
Yeah, I mean, he's just such a shooter. Yeah, I definitely would have translated really well. I never even really thought about that. I'm sure he thinks about it.
Curry before Curry.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about all that, but.
Oh, come on. You watch his highlights. This man was chucking from 3 feet beyond the arc. And it's like, oh, shit. Damn.
No, but
I can do that.
his game definitely would have translated really well. But it was really fun talking to him though, like just hearing his perspective. Me and him have talked before. Like he used to give me like little tips here and there, just throughout my season, especially when I was younger. Just kind of like let me know, like, listen, you're doing a great job. Like when we weren't like that good, he was like, I can see like where it's going, and that was like always really good to hear. But like that was like the first time I got like his like perspective on his like away games and his preparation and his routine and just like how he prepared himself. Like it's like, damn, like maybe I should have prepared myself like that. Like those like
definitely
like really, really good, really, really good insight. And I kind of wish that maybe I took a little bit more advantage of asking him some more questions when I was younger. So it's probably something that I wish I did.
Well, you heard me, man. I got a men's league if you ever want to play again.
Yeah.
We got dunked on the other day, and it was like shit. Like,
damn,
right,
damn.
like we're playing like
you playing against
like former Rider players, former NJIT players. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like,
gotta stay in shape, man. Shit.
Yeah, that's how it works.
That's funny though. That's hilarious.
All right, well, Geo, thanks again for joining us. Can't wait for Tuesday's event. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Thanks again for everyone for listening. This has been another edition of the Knight Report podcast. Signing off. Stick around though. We got